Hello, everyone. I'm Colleen Taffy. I'm back for another live stream brought to you by Princess Dental Staffing. So I'm not sure if you tuned in for last week's live stream, but if this is your first time here, welcome. And if this is your second time coming back to these weekly streams, thanks for coming back. So glad that you could be here. Just a quick reminder, like I said, if you saw last week's stream, then you know this already. But if you're brand new, then it would be good to tell you that these streams are going to be weekly from now on, starting last week. These weekly live streams are going to be held on Wednesdays at noon Mountain Standard Time. So that's 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, and 11 a.m. Pacific time. Okay. So if you want to make sure that you are tuning in for these live streams and receive updates and everything on these live streams on a weekly basis, make sure to follow our page or subscribe to Princess Dental Staffing's channel. Okay. So glad everyone could be here with me today. And if you couldn't be here when this was live, so glad that you got to see it later. If at any time you have any questions or insights or thoughts on the information that we're going over in these streams, feel free to comment. And if you find this information helpful, please do like the video, like the stream. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about dental assistants. So if you tuned in for the stream last week, or if you watched the stream that we did last week, we talked about the differences between dental assistants and dental hygienists, okay? And we kind of briefly, very broadly went over the duties of a dental assistant and the duties of a dental hygienist, okay? And kind of compared and contrasted the two. So today we're going to be going a little bit more in depth into a dental assistant and what they do and on a regular basis. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit more in detail. Okay. So most dental offices, they're going to have dentists, dental hygienists, and dental assistant. And while all of those job titles sound pretty similar, they definitely have different job duties and responsibilities that are assigned to each of those job titles. Okay. But the one thing that they do have in common is that they are all focused on making sure that their patients receive high quality healthcare and are treated well and get everything they need according to their personal needs and preferences. Okay, so that's kind of what they all have in common. Okay, so when it comes to a dental assistant, just kind of a broad overview of what dental assistants do, they mainly work with dentists as opposed to patients. I mean, they do have patient work as well, and we'll kind of go into that a little bit more later. But they do work with patients, but they're mostly dentist-centric. Okay, they work a lot more with dentists. Dental hygienists work more with patients. Dental assistants work a little bit more with dentists. Okay, dental assistants also handle the day-to-day operations of the office and make sure everything kind of runs smoothly. Okay. And when they work with patients on a technical level and on a personal level. Okay. Hello, Elsie. Thanks for tuning in. I saw your hello. Just thought I'd give you a shout out. So let's talk about dental assistants in a little bit more detail. So when it comes to taking care of patients, so like I said, dental assistants is a little bit more dentist-centric, but they do work with patients as well. And when they work with patients, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that patients have a safe and comfortable environment when they come in for their checkups, for their procedures, and all those sorts of things. Okay. So they can also do things such as they can record information about patients' oral health care needs and their prior health conditions that can affect their oral health. They can also sometimes take a patient's blood pressure and pulse if needed. Okay. And they also try really, really hard to make sure that patients are relaxed before, during, and after their checkups and their procedures and all those sorts of things. And if the patient does need to have a procedure done, dental assistants can actually talk to them about proper ways to care for their mouths and their teeth and their gums and all those sorts of things after the procedure is done. Okay. They can also teach patients how to do regular oral health practices such as brushing and flossing and all those sorts of things. They can also recommend different oral health care products, toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, and all those sorts of things in order to benefit the patient's overall health and well-being from an oral healthcare perspective. Okay, so that's kind of their work with patients. So let's talk a little bit more about administrative office tasks. Okay, that dental assistants tend to engage in. Okay, so they can do such things as scheduling appointments for patients. They can handle paperwork, obtain patient dental records, and handle billing. Okay, they can do all of those things. And they can also communicate with patients about their payments, health insurance, and answer questions about those sorts of things. Okay. They also handle office duties such as ordering new supplies, replacing old equipment and instruments and tools with new ones. They can send bills to patients and insurance companies, answering the phone, scheduling appointments, procedures, and all of those sorts of administrative tasks. Okay, so again, very involved in the day-to-day operations of the office. Okay. Now, like I said earlier, mostly dental assistants are a little bit more dentist-centric. So we talked a little bit about, how dental assistants interact with patients. Let's talk how they interact with dentists, right? So when it comes to their work with dentists, they do things such as providing aid to dentists during treatments and procedures. And that's a really important quintessential part of a dental assistant's job description, right? So they do things such as sterilizing and cleaning all of the tools, equipment, instruments, chairs, and all of those different sorts of things in the office for dentist use, okay? And they also are instrumental in helping bar the spread of different diseases and illnesses in the office, because they take a lot of time to, like I said, clean and sterilize equipment and the office in general, right? So very important now, right, with the COVID-19 outbreak, and I know a lot of these offices, a lot of places in the United States now are opening up a little bit more. Some of their offices are, a lot of non-essential offices are opening as well. So very, very important for dental assistants to, make sure things are clean and sanitary and sterilized to help prevent the spread of those sorts of illnesses. Okay. They also, as a matter of fact, in addition to sterilizing and cleaning all of those tools and instruments and equipment, they also set out those tools and instruments and equipment, for the dentist to use when they are completing a procedure or just a cleaning or something like that. So set out instruments, and they also provide chairside support to dentists as they hand the dentist tools and instruments during the treatments and the procedures. Okay. They can also take X-rays of the patient's mouths and develop radiographs and those sorts of things. And they can also take and pour impressions of patients' teeth to create casts to be studied. And they can also perform other lab duties and tasks that they are assigned to do by the dentist. Okay. So hello, Mary Jones. Glad that you could be here. And yes, Elsie, thank goodness for all those essential workers. Yes, absolutely. So grateful for those right now, right? Should be grateful for them all the time, but definitely grateful for them right now, right? So that's a little bit about dental assistants and the work that they do with dentists. Let's talk a little bit more about cleaning the office. Like I said, dental assistants, they tend to do a lot of the cleaning and the sanitizing and the sterilizing in the office, okay? But they generally make sure the office is clean as well. They help make sure that the office is clean, neat, organized, and safe and sanitary. Okay, so sometimes, in addition to cleaning equipment, tools, and instruments at the dentist station, they can also help wipe down different parts of the office to make sure, again, that we're minimizing the spread of these diseases and illnesses. Okay, so dental assistants very, very important when it comes to preventing the spread of those diseases and illnesses and making sure everything is as clean as possible and that their patients are safe. Okay. So let's talk. So that's kind of, like I said, some of the things that dental assistants do, a little bit more. It's a little bit more in-depth description of what dental assistants do on a regular basis. So let's talk about some of the traits and skills that you need as a dental assistant. So, for example, communication skills, right? So if you think about all the things that I talked about, communicating with the dentist, communicating with patients, communicating with their coworkers, and with insurance companies potentially over the phone, in person, communication skills are just essential, right? So you have to be able to, as a dental assistant, you have to be able to communicate well to make sure that everything, to support the idea that everything continues to run smoothly, okay? They also need to communicate with patients. Like I said, they talk to patients about oral health and hygiene. So you have to be able to communicate that in a clear and concise way so that your patient can understand and reproduce all of those healthy oral health habits, okay? And they also need to be able to communicate and understand what the dentist is telling them during these procedures when they're helping the dentist out chairside with these procedures, okay? Being detail-oriented, another great skill for dental assistants to have, right? Because when you're sterilizing all this equipment, when you're cleaning all this equipment, it's a very step-by-step process, okay? So you have to be able to make sure that you are paying attention to those details so that all of these tools and equipment and the office in general is sterilized and is healthy and good to use those instruments during those procedures, okay? And then lastly, interpersonal skills. And that kind of goes with communication skills, but again, you have to be able to have those communication skills in order to relate to the patients that you're working with. Sometimes patients get a little bit anxious or nervous when they go to the dentist. I know I do sometimes. Not necessarily for checkups or anything, but for procedures, yeah, definitely a little bit. I get a little bit nervous. I'm also not very good with needles, so I definitely get really nervous. So my dental assistant would definitely need to be able to relate to me and talk me through it and make sure that they're empathizing with me and trying to make sure that I'm relaxed throughout the procedure, right? So those are definitely some skills that dental assistants really, really need to have in order to do well at their job. So, oh wow, do dental assistants need special training to take x-rays or impressions? Yes, actually. So you definitely have to be certified in order to take x-rays. And some states actually require that. So when it comes to being a dental assistant, there are training programs that you can do. And sometimes those training programs are, they can be as little as 10 weeks long, or they can be as long as 2 years. It really just depends on the type of program that works best for you. But some states actually require you to get an x-ray certification in addition to your dental assistant certification and training, okay? So yes, you do have to be trained on how to use that x-ray equipment, the safe way to do it, and all those sorts of things. So yes, great question. Do you know what kind of cleaning and sterilizing changes are going to happen due to the pandemic? That's an excellent question. That is an excellent question. I'm not entirely sure if there are going to be a lot of changes due to just the cleaning and the sterilizing part. Maybe changes due to, the types of masks or anything that they have to use in order to kind of help prevent the spread of that. I don't know. I'll have to look into that a little bit more. That's a really great question, though. Yeah. Okay, great questions. Thanks for bringing those questions up, you guys. Those are awesome. So I talked a little bit about training for a dental assistant a little bit earlier. Like I said, anywhere as little as 10 weeks up to 2 years. And, it really just depends on the type of training program that works best for you in terms of, how much you want to pay, how much, and also regarding state regulations as well. Certain states have specific regulations. I mentioned earlier that some states do require an x-ray certification if you're going to be a dental assistant. Some states don't. So depending on the state you're in can actually also help determine the type of training and the length of the training that you need in order to be a dental assistant. So another frequently asked question that when it comes to dental assistants is how much do they make? Okay, so hourly on average, and this is a national average, okay? So on average, it's $19.27 per hour. That information comes from the BLS website, the Bureau of Labor Statistics. By the way, a great resource if you're researching really any sort of occupation or job. BLS.gov, fantastic website, Bureau of Labor Statistics. And nationally, in 2019, the hourly average is $19.27 for a dental assistant. Okay, so depending, of course, on where you are, what state you're in, training requirements sometimes, and also, you know, how your state compares cost of living nationally. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. Okay, so definitely make sure if you're looking to become a dental assistant, or you're trying to find out what you should be making as a dental assistant if you are one already, or if you just came out of a certification program, make sure you do your research in your area. Okay, so again, $19.27 an hour nationally, but make sure you're doing research in your area. Payscale.com is a great resource for that. Glassdoor.com, all of those really great resources. Okay, or you can just Google it as well. How much do dental assistants make in the name your city area, you know? So a lot of great resources out there that will give you a lot of great information on that. Okay. Let's see, some more questions and comments coming in. That's amazing. Thank you for asking or answering. You're welcome. I know a lot of the salons are having to limit the number of appointments going on at once. I wonder if that will happen with dental offices as well. Likely. That's a really good question. I'm gonna have to look that one up, but likely, I would imagine so. And I think it depends on kind of the area. You know, like I said, some states are kind of opening it up, and some are not so much, and still requiring a 6-foot distance. So that's quite possible that they're limiting. I think it just is going to mostly depend on where you are and what state you're in, and where you are in the pandemic, right? I've heard that you can't have people come with you to appointments as well, Mary. Wild about how much things have changed throughout this pandemic. I know this pandemic has really brought a lot of information forward, and has helped us discover a lot of different things that hopefully shape us in the future. You know, I'm definitely the type of person that I think I like to think that these sorts of problems and obstacles kind of change us for the better. Or at least I hope they do. So. Yeah, great insight, Elsie. Great insight. So, and then my last FAQ is going to be, what skills does a dental assistant need? So I talked about some of them earlier, talking about communication, interpersonal skills, and those sorts of things, but there are definitely other skills that really can help dental assistants become really, really great at their jobs. For example, active listening, reading comprehension. Definitely have to have reading comprehension, right? Going through all those dental records and all those sorts of things. Good speaking skills. Critical thinking, that's one that we don't talk about a lot, but critical thinking definitely a really great skill to have, because it helps. Basically, critical thinking is using logic to understand, to not only find problems and understand them, but how to get through them and how to work through them, and how to solve them, right? So critical thinking, another great one for a dental assistant to have. And service orientation, basically great service care, right? And helping out as much as possible. And those skills were specifically listed on ONET, on the ONET website. So again, if you are researching dental assistant information, and you know, trying to research a little bit more about the position, how much they make, the type of schooling you need, and all those sorts of things. Another great resource is ONET, the ONET website. So it is O as in Oscar, net like N as in November, E as in Echo, T as in Tango. Okay, so onetonline.com. Yes. Sorry, I lied. onetonline.org. Okay, so a great resource to look up a lot of different job occupational outcomes and all those sorts of things. So ONET Online, really, really great. And it actually has, so it listed those as really good skills for a dental assistant, but it has a lot of information. It talks about the different types of knowledge that dental assistants need, technical skills, and all of these different sorts of things. I didn't want to list them all here because it would just take forever, but a great resource. Okay. Thank you for mentioning the web resources, very helpful. Yes, absolutely. I'm here to help. So yeah, if you have any questions, and I always try to list out my resources in case you guys want to research a little bit further. There's only so much I can cover in these live streams. So, you know, I really hope that's helpful to you. Got to keep that optimistic outlook. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm a big believer in it. It doesn't work for everybody, but I'm a big believer in it. And, you know, I hope we all come out of this as better than going in, and I hope that we come out of this safe and secure and healthy. So yeah. Okay, so that basically does it for me today, everyone. Those are really, really great questions. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for providing those questions. Again, if you want to be sure to tune into these live streams on a weekly basis, Wednesdays at noon Mountain Standard Time, and make sure to like the Princess Dental Staffing page or follow their channel. And make sure that you tune in, or if you can't tune in live, you know when they're coming up, so you can always watch them later. They're always posted on our various sites and everything. Okay, so thanks for tuning in today, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I will see you next week with another topic to cover. And so glad that I'll be there next week and to talk to you all again. Okay, so thank you, Mary Jones. Thank you for coming in. So if you think of anything else, if you have any other insights or questions, be sure to comment, drop a like if you find this information helpful, and we'll be answering those questions for you, okay? So have a great week, everyone, and talk to you soon. Bye.